Nintendo sucks, Xbox sucks, PlayStation sucks, Sega sucks, Bungie sucks, chip makers really suck, Valve sucks, retro revivals suck, the State Senate of California sucks. If you're unaware of any of the bad news that just flashed before your eyes, you're better off, but I don't know how you found this video without stumbling over a mountain of despair. It doesn't need to be that way. I've been consuming and participating in video game discourse since before I was a teenager. My interest in games became an obsession at some point in my childhood in the mid-90s, and once the internet unlocked the ability to be part of a 24-hour discussion, I fell down the rabbit hole. Before all that, I had to rely on friends, rental stores, and the official source for all things Nintendo if I wanted to get informed on new games. Not that my family could afford new games very often. It wasn't until I started working a paper route when I was 10 that I started to build out a permanent collection of N64 games, which took at least 2 months to save up for if I could resist buying candy and Slurpees at the Circle K or random bullshit at the dollar store. It was okay that I was mostly in the dark about games and the industry around them, and it was okay that I went long periods between buying or even playing new games because I played the games I had and did other things. I suspect there are at least a few people who will watch this video who spend more time consuming games media or participating in the discourse than actually playing video games. And if that's you, I want to help you change that. Tragically, I'm speaking from experience. Between podcasts, subreddits, YouTube, and whatever other media feeds were infecting me at the time, I've definitely been guilty of following the discourse more than engaging with the hobby I enjoy. But when you're ignorant to the discourse and the news, something magical happens. All you have left is the game. It's the closest you can get to that feeling you had when you were young, when all that mattered was the controller in your hand and the screen in front of you. When you're constantly bombarded with voices spewing opinions about things that piss you off, things you agree with but generally frustrate you regardless, it affects you. Having a podcast in your ear blocks your own thoughts that you might actually be missing out on. I know being with your own thoughts can be agonizing. Trust me, I get it. If you must have something to distract you, consider music or an audiobook. You may not be interested in many or any books, but interest is a funny thing. You weren't inherently interested in the video games industry, you were introduced to it. You got hooked. It's possible to get hooked on something more enjoyable. You just have to try. And it doesn't need to cost you anything. For audiobooks, get a library card and try something like Libby. You might also find video games at the library. I'm not saying you should avoid all of games media, just most of it. When you truly run out of things you're interested in actually playing, it can be nice to have a few reliable sources of opinion. I'd argue this should be your friends, assuming they have similar taste in games, but an influencer can do the trick if you're desperate. Maybe find one that sticks to games and not so much industry talk. My best advice would be to find a list of recently released games and just start watching trailers. You'll know what grabs your attention pretty quickly, and then you can read a few reviews just to make sure it's not terrible. I know you'll feel like you're missing out if you unplug from the discourse. It's like you're being deprived of something, but what's actually happening right now is you are missing out on inner peace, a clear mind free from unnecessary anxiety and frustration. The news lately just makes it feel like someone's trying to take away the things you like. So just play games. Forget the rest. I mean, there are so many great games to play, new and old. So much entertainment. Why spend your time entertaining yourself with talk about the entertainment? Just play the damn game. Being informed on all this bad news isn't going to change how things play out. Discs are going away. Layoffs will continue. Prices will rise. And it's most likely that things will never go back to the way they were when you were a kid. That's life. Preserve what you have in whatever way you can and share it. And while you're at it, drink more water, cut out caffeine, stop snacking after dinner, and go to bed on time. Seriously, it works. Not right away, but you will start to feel better. Just try it for a week. No media for a week. If 1 week feels like too much, just try for 2 full days. But I'd suggest a full media blackout. No cheating. Literally don't look at or listen to anything. Just play what you have or do something else. If you've conditioned your mind to expect constant information and discourse, the mental clarity and freedom you'll feel after cutting it out is astounding. It'll be uncomfortable at first, but it's worth it. There have been periods in my life where games weren't at the front of my mind, and I must admit, those were some of my purest, most enjoyable gaming eras. In 2007, my first long-term relationship ended, and I partially blamed my obsession with games for that failure, specifically Halo and Halo 2. I swore off most games at that point. I had been interested in learning to play guitar, but lacked motivation. Since I was now desperate to find another relationship, and everyone knows guitar equals chicks, I finally started to learn. The only game I became interested in playing was Guitar Hero 2, which I assume I stumbled into while researching actual guitars, and for a while, rhythm games were all I played. Playing Rock Band with my friends soon became the thing I looked forward to most each weekend. Gaming went from this dark activity I'd do alone with a headset on in my bedroom to a living room full of friends with the speakers blasting. We'd often dip into Mario Party, Smash Bros, and even connect up a couple old Xboxes for some classic Halo. And that was the bulk of my relationship to gaming until life got harder. People moved away, they got married, had kids, went to school. People got real jobs. I turned inward again at some point and got obsessed with Destiny, which allowed me to connect online with a handful of friends on the regular, but it also got me wrapped up in Reddit and all the crap that surrounded Bungie, and the discourse became a side hobby once again. I'm still healing from the last 12 years of consuming the discourse of the video games industry. It takes a bit of willpower every day to not load up game mess mornings. I've slipped and gone back to it a few times on my journey to purge myself of it, and a lot of that has to do with my own ambitions to create games media myself, though I really want to focus on what's good about gaming. That said, I know what success feels like when you stop caring about the industry and the opinions of fanatics, pundits, and grifters, because I escaped Star Wars. In 2015, I started to dive deep into the Star Wars discourse, which bled into Marvel and other movies and politics and virtue signaling SJW, lefty, righty, and what the f***y conversations. And I just ate up everything I could find on YouTube and podcasts about Star Wars until about 2021, when I finally realized all this just makes me upset. I went cold turkey on that one and just started to ignore all of it. I watched the shows when they came out, talked briefly to my friends about them, and that was it. I didn't even know Maul Shadowlord was a thing until it was recommended to me by a friend. And you know what? It feels so good. There is a lot about Star Wars I don't like. There's stuff I do like, and there's old stuff that I can still hold on to. But I don't need to hear other people talk about it, and I'm not going to change how they make Star Wars going forward. So I let that go. Now, is it ironic to use YouTube while telling people to essentially stop watching YouTube? Yeah, maybe.
I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them.
Here's what I do now, because I do still watch YouTube and listen to podcasts. I've just changed how I do it and put up strict boundaries. 1, don't use the app at all. Watch through a browser, even on your phone. And 2, avoid the homepage completely. There are creators on YouTube that simply share their love of games. They won't leave you bummed out, but the algorithm wants to feed you bad news. So use the subscription page instead, if you're willing to remove most of what you're subbed to, including any channel that focuses on news or, frankly, the grift. But the best method is to bookmark the channel pages of creators that enhance your experience with this hobby. This way, it's like they have their own websites within YouTube, and you can intentionally check in on them. This is how the internet used to work, and it was better for us. Again, number 1, just use a browser. Podcasts are easier. Just unfollow anything that doesn't lift you up. You won't miss anything if you don't hear the daily news show. It's all bad news anyway. There isn't enough good news to make a daily show. If you really want the news, pick a good website and just skim the headlines. You'll get the gist. I actually use Nintendo Today more than anything now. It's just nice. The rest of social media is garbage. You don't need it, but you know that already. The longer I've gone without it, the less I miss it. If you simply must do something with your hands and eyes on your phone, try a journal. Just write down anything, or get into emulation. Get a cheap handheld and just play low-stress, low-stakes puzzle games. Your brain will thank you. I know a lot of good people earn a living talking about the perils of the video game industry. Don't worry about them. They'll be fine. They'll still have an audience. Most people aren't gonna give up the doom scroll. Don't be most people. Good luck. Have fun.